I'm Cal Stewart. Welcome to Carving Online. Today we're going to be doing a Black Capped Chickadee. We're going to start out by bandsawing it out, carving it out, texturing it, and bring it out to a finished product. So let's get started. Carving the Black Capped Chickadee is probably one of the easiest ones for beginners to start with. It's a small bird, doesn't require a whole lot of texturing, but it does involve some technique. That's what we're going to discuss through all of this. What we'll basically start out with is a pattern. We've got two patterns here. I have a top view and a side view. We lay these out on just a block of wood that it fits the particular piece we're going to work on, like so. We'll cut these out on the bandsaw. Our whole technique today is to start out with a cutout that's going to look like this. And you'll notice that it's straight on. There's no turned head or anything else. We do this, we give you the option of turning the head during carving, which we'll discuss when we get into the bird. And later on we'll start carving. We'll start with a piece that looks like this. This happens to have the head turned already. Some of the design drawn in. This is a further on stage, but you'll see it as we go, each stage as it goes. When we're totally finished and the bird is textured, it'll look something like this. Of course, this has no eyes in it yet, and we'll show how to set the eyes later. You'll see that it's burned and textured with a stone. We stone because that gives soft feathers, whereas the flight feathers, which are very stiff, we burn to give the stiff effect. You'll see the feather pattern on the bottom of all the muscle groups, and the bottom of the tail will show out how to lay the tail feathers out so that they all flow down together. And when we're done with that, later on, we'll do a segment where in the next segment, we'll show how we fully paint the Black Capped Chickadee, which this will be your finished product. Now the feet on this bird happen to be cast feet, which are very good. If you're just doing it for a commission or for your own use, cast feet are great. If you want to go into competition, you're going to have to learn how to make your feet. That's a totally different thing, which we can get into it later on. But right now, let's go and take the pattern, draw the pattern on, and let's cut this chickadee out and get started. Draw the pattern on. So now we're going to draw the pattern on. All I have to do is I just take you'll notice that the pattern has the top view of the bird, but it's square on the end. That's the way I cut it out, so we have enough room to turn the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the pattern on, center it as close as I can get it right into on the block of wood. And this is my top view, and all I do then is just draw the pattern on. Sometimes you can tape these on, but I find it's just a lot easier to just hold it down and draw it on. It doesn't have to be, if you've got squiggly lines when you're drawing it, that's okay, because we're going to just cut it out. It's just a guide to go by. That's the top view. I'll just put a T on there to show that that's the top view. Then I take my side view and I lay it on the wood here. You'll notice that when I cut my pattern out that I left enough room for the bill. And now I just slide it all the way out to the end where the bill matches up, leaving myself enough room, as you can see, for the side pattern. And I simply just draw it on. This is just some cardboard you can get from the cleaners, or you can go to a hobby store and buy some of their cardboard and use it. But if you've got cardboard that you can use, it doesn't matter what it is, it'll work fine. Just don't use real thick cardboard because it's hard to cut. And there's the pattern. I have this side view and the top view. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this top view out first, and then we're going to save each side piece as we go. Then we're going to tape it back together, turn it over, and then cut this out. And then what we're going to end up with is this right here. To cut out this, we're going to have to use of course, a bandsaw. We adjust the bandsaw to fit just above the block. Now let's stress a little bit of safety about using a bandsaw. It can be very dangerous, so be sure you keep your fingers and watch what you're doing and keep your fingers completely out of the way of the blade. And notice what you're doing all the time. Don't get distracted. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the top view out. What I like to do is I make sure that I've got, which it happens to be now, but I try to adjust the arm so that it's just above the piece of wood and I've got as much of the blade covered as I can. So we'll go ahead and cut this top view out on both sides, And then I'm going to tape it back together, and we're going to cut out the side view. So let's go ahead and get this done. Cut just outside the line, following as closely as we can. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put these two pieces back together, and we're going to tape them back together so that we can now cut out the side view. Let me turn this off and I'll tape those up. We just use standard 2-inch or 1.5 inch masking tape, and all I do is I just cut off two pieces that are big enough for it to go around the outside. Make sure they're all nice and even the way we cut them out. We just lay a piece across the top like so. Flip it over. We do the same thing to the other side. Now what we have is we have the side view on. If you can't see the mark under here, you can take a pencil and follow this line again. I can pretty much see it because it's single. Sometimes people will wrap too much, and so you'll have to draw the line back on, but I can see this one. First thing I do is I start out by cutting the end of the tail off, and then I cut the tail this way, and then I cut across to this notch where the wings are going to be raised. And then I cut the rest of the sides out, and when I'm done, I'll have a piece like you saw earlier in the video. So we'll go ahead and cut this out. Now we'll cut the length of the tail to that raised area. Back it off real easy, turn it around, and we'll cut that notch out. Now we can cut the top part out. I'll come back around here and finish cutting that part of the bill out. Now turn it around, we cut the bottom out. Do the same thing here. Now that you've got it still taped, you've lost your tape, be sure you hold on to it real tight because it could slip on you. And then cut the bottom of the bill out again. Okay, when we get done, we should have the piece like you saw earlier in the video. The top and side view all cut out. Leaves you room now to be able to turn the head or leave the head straight, whichever way you want. So now we have this cut out, we can start shaping it. Okay, now that we've got our cutout completed, you see we got the top and side view cut out. Let's talk about some of the tools we'll use to start carving and refining this little chickadee down to what looks like a bird. The tools that I use a lot when I'm doing this is, first of all, I have a measuring device of some sort. These are vernier calipers. You can buy them just about anywhere. This one has a dial on it. You get some that are metal or plastic. Mine happen to be plastic. It doesn't matter as long as you have something that you can measure with. I also use a diamond lapstone that I use to shape stones with for stoning. If I have a round cylinder and I want it to be a cone shape, I can actually take and refine this particular cone down onto this lapstone. And that helps me to put in detail, stoning detail. I also use various types of diamonds. I have just a large diamond for cleaning up. I have a safe end diamond. I have two small flame diamonds that are real fine that I use to clean up areas with. I have a diamond ball that I use to cut in areas for feathers. I have ruby flames that I use. These two are particularly marked because I've used them so much they're kind of smooth now, so I like to use them as well. But you can smooth these out by putting them on the lapstone. This happens to be a rounded in diamond itself. Then I have a cylinder stump cutter that I use for cutting in areas like under the wings. And this is just a general purpose stump cutter. It's a little finer than this one. And again, I talked about the stone. This is a green stone. I use it for adding texture. And then we have this carbide tip cutter that I use also for shaping. And I have a little carbide, it's not tipped, it's a cylinder. I use it mainly for cutting out the eye sockets when I'm doing the eyes. And I have 3 sets of ceramic cylinders here that I use. They're 3/32. The brown is the coarser one, then the red, and then the blue being the finer one. You can shape them as well on the lapstone. And then of course I have these sanding wedges that I use. One is a small one and a larger one. The larger, they come in different grits, the green being the finer grit. You'll see the green that's on the bottom right here. That tells you that's a fine grit. And then this is the smaller one. And there's a red grit, which is also used. I also use a pencil compass. This is what I use to turn the head on the bird, which I'll demonstrate later on in the video. You'll see how to turn the head, or you have the option of leaving it straight, as some people like to. But you can turn the head on this. The other thing that I have too is I have drawn a pattern that I use, and I've drawn this pattern out myself. You'll see a side view, a top view showing the patterns. It's the foot, under the tail, and I put in like the feather scheme layout of this. And this will be available too as well online. One of the things I forgot to mention was I also use a sanding mesh that I sand with. You can get these in various grits from, I believe, anywhere up from 80 up to like 400 grit. And these are available. I get mine from the old Texas wood carvers. They have this in stock, so I use it quite a bit. And it's really good sanding mesh. It doesn't load up on you, you just shake it out and you're done. I also have available, that will be available online too, will be a painting guide for painting the chickadee, which will be in another segment. But this guide takes you all the way through, step by step, of painting the chickadee. You'll see, I tell you about what palettes you can mix on, what techniques about washing and wet blending and dry blending, about references. The best thing you can carving or painting a bird is to always try to have the actual bird, or to have the actual study skin or whatever. You can get a lot of these from your museums. They'll allow you to come in and take measurements, take photos, and handle them. Some will allow you to check them out, but you have to check with them first before you do that. It goes also into how you prepare the surface and seal it. These are the colors. This is the colors that I use to paint the Black Capped Chickadee. I use Joe Sanja's acrylics, but any acrylic will do. Liquitex, Winsor Newton, they're all good. I have suggestions about if you're trying to do outlines on feathers, or the center or the edge of the feather, which direction to go on the textured part of the surface. That's all in there. And then I have photos taken that starts out step by step of doing the head first, and then you move on to doing the back, the breast, the belly, everything like that. All this step. It's just, I would strongly suggest when you get this, that you read through the whole thing verse before you start. Just read through the entire manual. There's nothing fancy to it, but it will give you an idea of how to paint this step by step. It lists it step by step: lower tail, under wings. You even have how to do the upper tail and laying in the edges of the feathers. The wings, how we do them. You also get into the back and the head. You'll notice the eyes have been set. We always set the eyes before we paint. Doesn't matter if you paint over them. We just take a toothpick, or you can take a real sharp knife with a sharp point on it, being careful not to scratch the eye and scrape all the paint off. And then we do the legs and feet. Shows you how the colors you paint them. We add a highlight. You'll notice in here, you can see there's a little bit of highlight on the scales of the feet. How to do that. And we use a matte varnish on everything to kind of give it a little bit of a sheen, which give it that fleshy look. And you dig down to the completed project itself. Also in the back of the pamphlet is also what we call a featherscape of the bird. It tells you what the different layouts, because you'll hear different people talk about different things. You'll hear me mention talking about cape and crown and crest and mandible and stuff like that. That's what this is all about right here. And on the back side there's also the pattern that you just saw earlier. That's also included. So that's all in the painting guide.